What if I told you a place once called the Sea of Death is now turning into a green paradise? A desert where nothing survived, where people lost their homes, where land disappeared under sand every single year, and yet today life is coming back. This is not a fantasy. This is the real story of China's Kubuqi Desert. Imagine standing in the middle of endless sand. No trees, no water, no life, just burning wind hitting your face and waves of sand moving like an ocean. This was the reality of the Kubuqi Desert. People didn't just call it a desert, they called it the Sea of Death. Every year, nearly 500,000 acres of land were swallowed by sand. Fertile farmland disappeared. Villages vanished, families had no choice but to leave everything behind and run. But the real danger wasn't just the desert itself, it was spreading slowly, silently. This process is called desertification. A place that once had life slowly turns into lifeless sand. Roads, farms, homes, everything gets erased. And Kubuqi was one of the fastest growing deserts in the world. If nothing stopped it, it could swallow entire regions. The Chinese government knew the danger, so they tried everything. They planted millions of trees, they built sand control systems, they launched massive projects, they invested billions. But nothing worked. Because deserts are ruthless. Once they start expanding, they don't stop easily. It felt like fighting an unstoppable force. Then came a man with an idea that sounded completely insane. His name was Wang Wenbiao. While others saw a dead land, he saw potential. People laughed at him. They said it was impossible. But he didn't stop. He invested everything he had, took huge loans, brought in over 100 bulldozers and 300 workers. They worked up to 18 hours a day in one of the harshest environments on earth. His idea was simple yet brilliant. Instead of fighting the desert directly, he decided to control it. They started creating small square grids on the sand using dry shrubs. These grids helped trap the moving sand and stopped it from spreading. Then inside each square, they planted willow trees. Not ordinary trees. These trees could send roots deep underground searching for hidden water. Where nothing could survive, these trees found a way. But the desert wasn't giving up. Strong winds kept attacking. They carried sand and dried out the soil. New plants struggled to survive. So Wang used another smart trick. He surrounded the trees with shrubs, creating natural barriers against the wind. Slowly the sand started losing its power, but there was still one big problem. The trees needed constant care. New branches had to be trimmed or they wouldn't grow strong. Doing this manually across a massive desert was nearly impossible, and that's when the story took an unexpected turn. A small animal became the solution, the Rex rabbit. These rabbits loved eating the soft new shoots of the willow trees. By eating those shoots, they naturally trimmed the plants, which made the trees grow stronger and thicker. At the same time, their waste acted as natural fertilizer. The dead soil slowly came back to life. Grass started growing, and for the first time, the desert began to change. But Wang didn't stop there. He introduced something unexpected, a massive solar power plant. 196,000 panels arranged in the shape of a running horse. It produces billions of units of electricity every year. But here's the genius part. These panels reduce wind speed and create shade underneath. That shade protects moisture in the soil and allows plants to grow. Grass feeds animals, animals support the land. A complete ecosystem was born. Today, large parts of the Kubuqi Desert are green. People who once fled are now returning, farming, living, thriving, and all because one man refused to believe it was impossible. The biggest lesson? People will laugh at your ideas, they will doubt you, but every great success starts exactly like that. So the question is, will you stop or will you keep going?